welcome to Mutually Assured Destruction. Mad. I'm Charles.
I'm Devin.
And today we are having a discussion. 3 categories of our favorite Spider-Sona. And this might become a more thing because we came up with so many honorable mentions that we might have to do.
I'm gonna get a few off. I'm gonna get at least one off because I'm gonna have to redeem myself after y'all hear what I'm about to say.
Yeah, we probably will do. We'll do one honorable mention this time, and then so you're gonna have to pick one from all of your categories. One honorable mention, not for each. One, just one.
Yeah, I only need the one.
So Devin and I have not actually discussed our choices yet.
Yeah, I have no idea what he's got going on over there.
And I have no idea what he's got going on over there. We will likely do this again, but for now, we're going to stick to these 3 and a singular honorable mention. So, in our first category, well, the 3 categories we will be doing will be drip, of course. Who has the flashiest flash and the drippiest drip? Power, who got top feats, who really putting the 1s and the 2s together to
who putting the work in on the hood, man. That's really who's
facts. Who gonna lift the boats? Who gonna carry the boats? And
22.
Who's gonna carry the boats and the logs?
That's you, buddy.
gotta find our David Goggins Spider-Man, and then we just have story. So whose story has that real it factor? Who has that true Spider-Man essence to it? And that's what we're working off of for this one. I'll let Devin take the first one.
Oh,
so
okay.
In the category of drip.
Oh man, okay. I was gonna save this one for last because it's probably my most egregious. For drip goes to Cindy Moon. AKA
Silk. Okay.
Very first appearance was Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, number 1, April 2014. Her first appearance was in a flashback, and her actual appearance as Silk was Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, number 4.
Yeah, self-made suit. Yeah. Self-made suit with her own weapon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Devin's a little horny.
Outside, of the horniness of Silk, I think that this is a really good costume. I mean, even if you look at the detail of the webbing, like between like her stomach and her sternum, like there's clearly an intentional design that she had in mind when she made the suit. I also think like making the suit out of your own webbing,
organic webbing at that, her own organic webbing.
Yeah.
At that.
It's with the face mask. You know what I'm saying? Like it's peak. It doesn't get more Spider-Man.
It definitely has a very ninja quality to it. It's like a tie between the spider and the ninja. I honestly would say it gives a lot of a little bit of Moon Knight energy.
It does give very Moon Knight.
And Moon Knight
energy.
is one of the drippiest Marvel characters they have ever made. Between Mr. Knight and Moon Knight, like.
But also, if we look at this suit, right, like, and just keep in mind that it's made out of webbing. Like, everything has intention. The knee guards, the wrist guards, the gloves to protect herself from punching. The spaces in between the suit to allow herself movement. It's very intentional, very well thought out. I believe she just broke in this panel here. She just broke free.
She did, and she just had a squabble with main universe Peter Parker. She just put the pause on him. And in fact, I'm gonna defend my boy Devin just a little bit because Silk actually almost made one of my categories because in her fight with Peter Parker, Peter internally says she has a better spider sense than he does, and she's faster than he is. The first time he ever fights her.
Okay. I appreciate that.
But he does say he's physically stronger. He says he got the strength on her, which is how he doesn't flat out lose and is able to talk her down and be chill. But she did literally just walk out of an experimental chamber.
A tube.
Literally.
Yeah. We also have to look at, we got to look at just it's just a good suit. And that's all I'm going to say. It doesn't matter whose body it's on, right? It's a great body. But we're looking at the suit, whoever had the pens in their hands that day, there's some legends for real. But it's a great suit.
Yeah, I can stand by the suit.
Okay. Also, her actual suit is also really good. Her actual suit.
It is actually. I do agree. I do like her actual suit as well. It's a pretty cool suit. But yeah, I do also very much like her suit, her official suit, because this is just something she put on because she walked out of the tube naked. So, yeah, I do very much enjoy her official suit. I think the what is it? Isn't it like a burgundy, pinkish? Kind of with a black undertone. Yeah,
it's
a really nice suit. It's pretty cool. I do also agree though that this version of the suit is the superior version in terms of just cool factor.
It's very Spider-Man. It's very.
It is indeed. Devin will not be surprised by my choice for drippiest Spider-Man suit. He's known that this is one of my favorite Spider-Man suits, and that will be Ben Reilly's first suit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. People, he talks about the suit quite a lot, and I can see why. It's very like the hoodie underneath, the span, it's very street, but also very Spider-Man. With the spray painted logo, you could tell that he's yearning to differentiate himself from Spider-Man. It's classic clone suit material.
It is. His first appearance ever was in the Amazing Spider-Man issue 149 in 1975. There was, obviously we know the whole clone saga and all of that, but it initially started way back in 1979. They kind of played with the idea, dropped the plot point after a few issues, brought it back in 1994, given a whole backstory for Ben Reilly and all of those things, and the suit in question did not appear until The Web of the Spider Volume 1, issue 118. And part of my love for it is partially rooted in his construction of the suit. And within the construction of the suit, he is kind of going through making this suit, and I love this little moment because at this point in the story, he had already fought Peter Parker thinking he was Peter, found out he was a clone, went off for 5 years, came back, to help Peter with some other things. He was fighting a villain he thought he might not be able to beat, so they end up taking him down together. Peter realizes he's a cool dude, and so he decides to, like, you know, we can do this together. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to try to isolate yourself away. We can be chill. And I love the idea that he decides to be a Spider-Man, and there's a really great line that I really like at the end of this panel where he says, "But I guess I just can't keep away from certain motifs, and it's in my blood." I love that idea that he recognizes that he wants to be different, because at this point he pretty much is a different person. He's lived 5 years knowing he's a clone and all those things, and coming back into it and feeling like I still have that desire to be Spider-Man and to help people and do good. I still have a lot of the same struggle and pain that Peter felt. So like the same things drove the mental process, but there's a little bit of divergence, and I really like that idea. In terms of its construction in how I like it, I really love the web shooters on the wrist. I think that's great. I love the way they look. I think they very well accented, and although it's kind of always believed that Spider-Man has these extra web cartridges on his belt, they just usually appear in the comic whenever he has to switch them, but they don't usually draw them. And I really like that it's a formal part of his costume. So even those web cartridges on his belt, and then having those extra pockets on the ankles, it all comes together in a really cool way with functionality as well. And like Devin said, that hoodie look is just peak.
It's very clean, very clean, very clean. I am going to say something.
Speak your truth, King.
It's a clean look. It's a very clean look. You know, you get the red, you get the blue. But one thing I never really enjoyed about this suit was the mask.
Really?
I feel like the eyes just screams like Venom. You know, like it just feels, I don't know, it feels vilified, you know, and maybe that's like, you know, a tongue-in-cheek reference to like his future and, you know, what he does later on and whatnot. But yeah, it's always been a mask for me, but like I like how technical the suit feels. Like, you know, the belt, the wrist gauntlets, you know, it feels very like practical.
Very much.
But yeah, it's just always been the mask for me. It's always been the mask for me. But other than that, it's a great suit. I don't know. The reason why he wears it is very Spider-Man, right? But I don't think the suit in it of itself is very Spider-Man. Well, outside of like it's homemade, right? Like it attacks most of the point. It's homemade. It's red and blue. But it just doesn't give friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It gives neighborhood debt collector.
Neighborhood debt collector. Wow. At this point, we're gonna dip into a more debatey territory. So, you know, since in that vein, about mine, I would say that yours definitely gives more stripper vibes than friendly neighborhood spider. And there's no hate to Silk. We love Silk. She's a great character.
He said, "Remember that support I gave you?"
In fact, I'm gonna defend my boy Devin just a little bit, because Silk actually almost made one of my categories. But look, listen, to be fair, like I said, she almost made my list for her own reasons, you know, in a different category. So it's definitely no shade towards Silk.
But if we talking about that suit specifically, I understand what you're saying. It was. I mean, even the way, I wish I had it. I should have pulled it up. But the way that she adorned the suit was very, erotic. But I just think the ingenuity of it, the thought, like, you fresh off the tube, right? Like, you got to think about it like that. You fresh off the tube, naked, right? How are you about to, like, escape and run from, essentially, right, one of the greatest predators of all time? And I mean predator in the actual definition. You're about to run away from, like, the Spider-Man. What are you about to do? What a better way to figure it out. I got time to go steal a lab coat. I could just do it. It just makes sense. But I get it. I don't know. It's just, it's that mess. Does it not scream evil to you? Like, that looks like carnage. If you take that hoodie off,
it doesn't scream evil to me personally.
Outside of that, though, like I said, it's a very I do want to know where he gets his spandex from.
Man, he gets this. Somebody should pick up that Peter Parker just keep ordering all of these spandex. So every other fight, the suit get messed up. So where's this constant supply of spandex coming from? And there's nobody checking where these orders are going.
He could probably just play it off like, MJ gets a little rough. And it just happens. So you telling me Peter Parker's not a sub? A Peter Parker? He gives sub energy, but
to be clear, Spider-Man, not very sub, but Peter?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not looking at this objectively. Name me more of a Spider-Man. If this is, we're talking about the best Spider-Man drip, right? What's more Spider-Man than using your own webs as a suit? Let's go. Look at the design.
If we're gonna say what's more Spider-Man than using your own webs, Spider-Man doesn't have his own webs, so it's not very Spider-Man to use your own organic webbing to make your own suit.
Okay.
Very Spider. No man.
I want to. Would you? This is stepping into the territory of, like, shit that hasn't happened. But would you agree that that's something that Peter Parker would do, that Spider-Man would do, in a quick fashion? Possibly. What I'm saying is, the point that I'm getting at here is that Silk had an opportunity to, you gotta look at our options, right? Roam the streets naked, right? Surrender, or do what she did, right? And then, in the time that it took her, right, to make this suit, again, I ask you to look at the detail. Look at the detail. It still looks great. Not out of functionality, but this looks fantastic.
Okay, and my argument against the detail would be that the amount of effort in that detail is not as significant, considering it's her own webbing.
Okay, I mean,
not to mention, we have no classic Spider-Man colors.
Okay. Well, we got white,
The eyes,
no red or blue.
Spider-Man's colors are not red, blue, and white. They're red and blue.
All I'm saying is that the time it took her to, the time that she had to fashion this suit, she didn't have to make it this fashionable. That's what I'm saying.
And
I'm
you know what? And I would argue the same point for Ben Reilly. Because one thing I did not mention about this scene where he is constructing his suit, he had actually just had a run-in with Venom on the street in his street clothes. And in order to protect Peter Parker's identity, because they have the same face, he ran home, put the suit together, and went out, you know, and made his debut.
Okay. So now it feels like we're at an impasse. Because these suits are great for their own reasons and also the same
This is
reasons.
true.
I don't know. The urgency of her situation to me, you running from Spider-Man himself.
Well, he was going to go take on Venom himself, the symbiote, the some would argue evolved Spider-Man.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I would agree with you. Looking at both these pictures side by side, right? Who would you feel more comfortable coming to save?
Now, it's a bit of a loaded question. It is a bit of a loaded question. You know, because I can't lie. I wouldn't be mad at a baddie just scooping me up and saying, hey, don't worry, it's going to be okay. I would argue that even she recognized that this was not the proper suit. Nearly immediately. This was
Because she went and got it.
very, in a time of need, this'll do. That'll do, donkey.
That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
That'll do. Can't hate. That's a good
I've
point.
made my points.
That's a good
Devin's
point.
made his point. Devin slightly agrees, and we'll let you all decide whether or not our arguments were sound enough to justify our choices.